what you call newspapers that are bought by political agencies, no? By what you call it, publishing a particular news or giving a particular twist to a particular news, giving a particular color, a shade of meaning. So what you consume, what I consume, how are you sure that it is not the bias of the editor? Can you be sure of that? You can never be sure of that. So that is why, read, make your own analysis, look at society, see the trends. Ask yourselves whether what is being propagated is truth or false. Because if you base yourselves on what is false and believe that to be true, you can ruin the lives of people. So therefore seek to live with truth. Don't let your jealousies or your petty agendas create falsity. Okay? That will never build the civilization of love. Okay, next. You can hide from the police. You can hide from everyone. Except yourself. Okay? Don't do anything illegal. Don't do anything illegal. They say that the happiest person is a person who has a sound conscience. If your conscience is sound, if you are not perturbed about something that you need to hide from others, you will always sleep in peace. The moment you begin to do something, that you want to hide, for example, what this guy is saying, I don't always do illegal things, but then when I do, I make sure to take a picture of myself doing it and paste it on Facebook. Do you do that? It's a challenge. You will never do that. So if you won't do that, if there are certain aspects of your life which you keep hidden, you don't want others to know because you're ashamed of that particular part of your life, you'll never be at peace. That is why don't do anything illegal. Illegal means going against the law. And there's so many illegal things happening in society. Sometimes we are victims of the illegal acts of others. Shiv Khera says that when the policeman asks you for a bribe, or when politicians ask you for a bribe, or you've got to get your file sent across but you've got to pay a sum for that, you are not corrupt yourself, but you are a victim of corruption. You are a victim of corruption. But do you and I have that willpower to face the consequences, to say no, whatever happens, I'm not going to do that. Sometimes we'll be victims of corruption, victims of a system, which we need to change, which is why you and I are here today. To change the system. Not to do anything illegal, anything that's against the law. Simple things, breaking a signal. Breaking a signal. It amounts to these little things. What is illegal? What is it that goes against the law? To the other extent, it is like, do not kill, do not murder, do not steal. All these things are illegal acts. But look at the little petty things. Now, what is it that you're doing that can go against the law? What is it that will not allow you to have a sound conscience? What is it that is going to take your sleep away from you? But there are some people who have deadened their consciences. Some people who have accepted the way they live and are quite comfortable living the way they do. That is dangerous. So our conscience needs to be educated. Our conscience needs to be educated. And this education comes through reading the lives of people who have had a positive impact on this world. It's in listening to a guru, listening to a teacher, listening to the values that are lived by people, seeing it, living it. That's how you educate your conscience. You're not ignorant. You don't become thoughtless. Okay? So it's important for us to be able to avoid illegal aspects of our life. Okay? And to cultivate a conscience that is sincere. Next.
And so the king ordered his men into battle, and even though he was no longer acting in their best interest, they followed obediently. But what if they didn't? What if they just refused? What if selfish leaders got no support? What if people had the courage to stand up when something wasn't right? What if the government didn't just serve a lucky few? What if it was designed and run for all the people, no matter what race, color, or creed? What if we didn't put up with anything less? What if?
What does it say? Support a government designed and run. That's the important phrase. Designed and run for all the people. So that's asking you and me to be politically conscious when extending your franchise. Now bring that government in power that will consider the interests of the entire population. Now, there have been dictators in the past who, because of their one-sided view of life, because of their ambition to what you call fulfill their private agendas, have killed people, decimated people. You talk of Hitler, you talk of Idi Amin, Mussolini. So who are the people we bring into power? No? Are they those people who have the interests of all? Or is it in our India something that's very regional, my language, my caste, my party, my home? Is that what we look at when we speak of good governance? So these topics that are here, it's helping us reflect as to what exactly is your notion of good governance. You see this girl, now she's waiting for her father to come there. Her father builds upon his trust. And then she gives that speech. But you notice, she changes the script. She changed the dialogue. She begins to talk out of her own conviction, not bound by a written script. Very often, many of us are bound by a written script. We keep doing what others tell us to do, thoughtlessly. So are you writing your own verse in the journey of history? Or are you simply aping what someone else has told you to do? Has someone brainwashed you to do something that will ultimately create a negative future for the others? Who are the people you and I bring into power? If you are going to be IAS officers, if you are going to be people responsible in the future, whatever career you take in life, ask yourselves this. Now, when I have power, when I have the opportunity to decide, do I decide in the favor of all? Or am I vested in my interests? So therefore it's important. Support, advise and guide. Support the government. Support the government in the good things that it does. When it needs advice, give advice. So therefore you and I need to also enter levels of advocacy, policy making. Now in the framing of our constitutions of India, there were people with such great intellect. A very beautiful constitution. The Constitution of India is a beautiful handbook for way the country should run. It's very nice because there were people who had their representations to bring their issues. But if it is one-sided, what happens? So therefore, you also need to enter policy, advocacy, which is why the dream of USM to have 25, at least for a start, 25 IAS officers in its Silver Jubilee is an ambitious plan. And I believe that you and I, we take those principles of saying that when I am in power, I am going to be a person of character, I am going to work for the welfare of people, then I believe India has a future. I believe it's worth being part of this movement. Yeah? Next.
Hey girl, Nicole, good luck on the play tonight. You're welcome. Thanks, guys. Now you gotta make sure that your return was on my big. Thank you. Oh. Come on, let me get the water. Just get up.
Okay, here it's put, do not have a person of goodwill, but what we'd like to tweak it to is this. Protect people of goodwill. Protect people of goodwill. You see, India, with all its, flaws, is still a beautiful country. You agree with me? I have a brother who has worked abroad, and he tells me, I have seen places, but I still feel India is the best place to be in. Best place to be in. The variety, the richness. And why is India running the way it does in regard to the systems we have in place? The postal system, the railway system, the telecommunication system. Now there are systems in place in our country. Okay, notwithstanding the fact that it's a huge populace, very difficult to control. There is law, there is judiciary. The question of corruption, the question of criminalization of politics, of education, etc. is something that all of us have to be concerned now about and work towards. But still, saying that there are systems in place. So why does that happen? It is because there are people of goodwill. If you and I lose our goodwill, then we are going to live in a nation of terror. So we've got to protect people of goodwill and be people of goodwill. The shopkeeper, the people who give you services, the dhobi who washes your clothes, now the people maybe who help you as housemaids in your houses. All these people are people of goodwill. They are having their own struggles in life. They've got to bring up their own families. But if we go on strike, what happens? Nothing will work. Nothing will function. We've got to depend on the goodwill of each other. So let's protect that. Okay. Home is being destroyed. Don't consider your home the four walls you stay in. What is our home? The earth is our home. The earth is our home. Now you notice, all those people who were throwing garbage, it's symbolic of the destruction of the universe. What was their attitude? What is their attitude in doing that?
Carefree.
Carefree, that's the right word you use. Carefree. And smiling. Thinking that they are doing something great by polluting, destroying. And there's only one person who is disturbed, who is conscious. He's saying, you're doing all this around me, it's not far from entering my home, my house, my four walls. So this is where we come to the third aspect of our being agents of transformation. That is respect for the environment. respect for the environment. I don't need to explain this. We have had enough of maybe seminars in our school, even the 5 parts of USM speak of the same. To preserve Earth's resources. To preserve Earth's resources. The water that you use, the light that you use. Not littering the surroundings around you. When I brought my children for the leadership camp, we visited the indoor museum. And after visiting the indoor museum, we were sitting on that lawn. And when we were sitting on that lawn, we saw a woman, tall, thin, fair. Brother Jerome, what was her name? Madhuri Mehta. Okay, we didn't know her name was Madhuri Mehta until we asked her. But for all other purposes, we thought that she is a European. We thought that she's a European. And what was she doing? In that park, she was picking litter, picking up bottles, picking up plastics, inviting the watchman also to help her to do that. Then she came to our group and says, please, you are having lunch here. Please don't spoil this campus. Bharat hamara garv hai. Usko saaf rakho. So we said, she speaks Hindi. Then we asked her, ma'am, where are you from? She said, I'm from Bombay. I'm from Bombay. And imagine a person from Bombay, she just come on a visit or whatever, but standing apart from the crowd, doing that alone, inviting that watchman, that gardener, that Mali to do the same, and then telling us, after you all go, if you all can also do a little bit, before you all go, just do a little service by cleaning this place. We were all inspired. That is what is called setting a good example. Setting a good example. More than all that I'm telling you today, now in this talk, it will bear fruit when you see it happening in your own lives. In your own lives. Okay? So safeguard and improve your environment. Begin in your home. Okay? Your home is the planet. Next. And this is the 4th dimension. Our relationship with respect the religious beliefs of others. Okay? Your God experience. Your God experience is unique to you. No? And if you're convinced of that God experience, live it. Live. But don't impose. That's what we are constantly hearing in our USM talks, in our seminars. This is another aspect of your relationship with God. So I don't need to explain that again. That's what we always have been promoting in this movement. So what are the 4 aspects I spoke of in regard to becoming role models? What's our topic today? Cultivating sound convictions to be role models. So are you convinced of these basic principles? Are you convinced of it? You will do it if you are convinced of it. Don't do it because Father Isaac or Father Verghese or the entire US team is telling you to do it. Are you convinced of it? Okay? And when you are convinced of it, we spoke of the various, there were 16 videos I showed you in a span of this maybe 1 hour 15 minutes. No? It was quite some stuff that we've listened to today. So can we just summarize the whole thing? What were the things we said in relation to ourselves once again? First, take care of yourself. Second, be temperate.